Anybody here a fan of Star Wars? Interstellar? Men in Black? X-Files? I thought so. Very good audience, thank you. Is life beyond Earth a story we tell ourselves, science fiction, or it could be part of our reality, just beyond our instruments and understanding? Imagine we are all now sitting in a spaceship, as we do every morning, right? For those of you who haven't done so yet, please fasten your seatbelts. The countdown is about to begin. Imagine where would you like to go and input your coordinates. Where would you like to go? And who would you like to meet? While green little creatures are part of science fiction, finding life beyond Earth is not as far as you may think. But let's take it from the beginning. The year was 1610. The Italian astronomer Galileo Galilei stood under the night sky peering through a telescope he made with his own hands. What he saw changed everything. 4 tiny points of light dancing around Jupiter. Moons. Moons orbiting a planet other than Earth. Today, we know of 95 moons orbiting Jupiter, and half a century later, we're on the verge of something even greater: the discovery of environments where life could exist. Moons. But how did we get from this, a hand-drawn map of the cosmos, to this, a high-resolution image of Jupiter and its ocean worlds, and eventually to this, a scientific concept of the possible life cycle of extraterrestrial organisms? Well, it's a story of bold questions, better tools, of course, and the courage to change and challenge everything we thought we knew. And yes, to step from the past to the future to uncover truths and profound discoveries, we must challenge. Once upon a time, around 5040, Copernicus strengthened the theory of Aristarchus that the sun is in the center of our solar system and not the Earth, challenging church doctrine. Ouch. The second challenge came from the cosmologist and philosopher Giordano Bruno, who extended the Copernican model and proposed, listen to this, that the stars are faraway suns surrounded by exoplanets, and that on these exoplanets life could exist. Of course, he was burned at the stake for his opinions by the Catholic Church. Second ouch. Thankfully, today scientists no longer run the risk of being burned at the stake, or so I was told, but why don't you be the judge of that after this presentation? To try and bring you over to my side and protect me if something like that happens to me, let me remind you that these very early discoveries have been confirmed over and over and over again through continuous scientific discoveries. So, and I want you to take this with you, we must keep on challenging dogma through continuous scientific discovery. And indeed, when the Cassini spacecraft imaged this tiny blue dot lying just behind Saturn, that was Earth, not in the middle of our solar system, but full of opinions. The direct observations with NASA spacecrafts have convinced astronomers and scientists all over the world that the best chance of finding life beyond Earth lies in the icy moons of the outer solar system. Outer solar system, everything that lies after the imaginary line of Mars. Moons. Moons where they host an ocean, a liquid ocean underneath their icy surface. So, the Cassini-Huygens mission was born to explore of course, one of the greatest planets, Saturn, and its biggest moon, Titan, up close and personal. But before I tell you why this was one of the most ambitious efforts ever mounted in planetary exploration, and reveal our groundbreaking discoveries, and how we went from viewing Titan like an orange, blurry blob into imaging in great detail the surface, even capturing the first and so far only on-site image of a surface in the outer solar system down to pebbles, let me quickly tell you how I got to be part of this mission and why I'm standing here before you today. Once upon a time, I was 13 years old when I watched the science fiction movie Contact, and I immediately fell in love with space exploration. I could only imagine myself as a planetary scientist, actually a planetary geologist, and all I had to do is to engineer my path there. And the path I took actually started here as a geology student at the University of Patras. I'm not gonna tell you about my hangover stories and how much I tortured my professors. We can talk about that at the break. But I will tell you that I did my thesis in my home island of Milos, studying its volcanic evolution. So it was only natural for me to land on Titan for my PhD at the Observatory of Paris in France, because at the time there were rumors that there is volcanic activity on Titan as well, but of a different type. I will talk about that later. So all I could do after that is, with my imagination, build a spacecraft and take myself to Los Angeles and work at NASA's Center JPL and be part of the Cassini-Huygens mission. And why is that mission so groundbreaking? The Cassini spacecraft carried 12 instruments, and also carried a probe which parachuted through the atmosphere and landed on the surface, called Huygens, and that happened in 2005. And this is actually the most distant landing ever occurred in our solar system. Cassini discovered that Titan resembles Earth more than any other body of our solar system. Pretty unique. But why? Well, Titan has a nitrogen-based atmosphere, like Earth, rain and clouds of methane, organics form in the atmosphere and fall on the surface like light snow, a surface where we have discovered more than 600 lakes, rivers, dunes, mountains, even signs of cryovolcanism, where the eruption, instead of lava, produces ice cubes. And here is the striking part. Titan seemed to satisfy the 4 classical criteria for habitability, the 4 classical criteria for life. And indeed, it has liquids, hydrocarbons, and possibly water beneath its icy surface, a source of energy for metabolism, essential elements like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, the building blocks of life, and a stable environment to sustain life. These conditions make Titan not just fascinating, but a possible habitable world. a place where life could emerge and thrive. Although the Cassini-Huygens mission is now gone, its legacy still remains, and we are still revealing information about this amazing moon. And as we speak, 2 spacecrafts are on their way to some other ocean worlds, this time not on Saturn, but its neighbor, Jupiter. And these are the JUICE mission. You saw its launch at the beginning of this presentation, and the Europa Clipper mission. And so I had to get into my imaginary spaceship once again and land in Madrid, in the Science Center of the European Space Agency, and work in the preparation of the JUICE mission. And of course, I always had to follow Cassini's footsteps and always have in my head that I need to keep on challenging dogma through continuous scientific discovery. Well, JUICE, as I said, is on its way, and it will make detailed observations of Jupiter and its 3 major moons, Ganymede, Callisto, and Europa. And together with Europa Clipper, which is the spacecraft, the biggest spacecraft ever made by NASA for planetary exploration, they will explore whether these worlds could support life and actually answer the questions that are on everyone's head. Are there life forms beyond Earth? And if so, what do they look like? Well, we hope to know the answer to this question through continuous observations, and observations that will spark even more our imagination. What we look for is not complex life. We're looking for microbial life that could exist around the hydrothermal vents that lie underneath icy surfaces, in a similar fashion like life emerged here on Earth. However, these lives, what we're expecting to see, will not necessarily, oops, we have a glitch here. So, so the way to do that is to look at these ocean worlds. And actually, this takes us back to our lovely Titan and the brand new mission Dragonfly that is set to land on Titan on 2034, marking the first time that NASA will fly a drone on another place, on another planetary body. Dragonfly's main mission is to investigate whether the criteria that I mentioned just before for life could actually give rise to all the necessary chemical processes to support life. And here, there could be a twist. Titan's unique characteristics make it a place, a natural laboratory, where we can examine exotic, non-water-based life and whether this could exist, challenging yet another dogma, that of what defines life. Is it life as we know it, or is it something else? So it might not turn out to be green little creatures breathing oxygen and sipping water, but perhaps another drink? For now, we can only imagine. And as Jodie Foster said, playing the character of Dr. Ellie Arroway in the movie Contact, who traveled to the center of our galaxy through a wormhole when she was faced with skepticism by the US National Security Advisor, who asked her to withdraw her testimony that this trip never happened because there was no hard evidence except for 18 hours of unexplained static that he ignored because he was unable to challenge his own personal dogma. To his request to withdraw her testimony, she replied, "I can't. I had an experience. I can't prove it. I can't even explain it, but everything that I know as a human being, everything that I am, tells me that it was true. I was given something wonderful, something that changed me forever. A vision of a universe that tells us undeniably how tiny and insignificant and how rare and precious we all are. A vision that tells us that we belong to something that is greater than ourselves, that we are not, that none of us are alone. Now, let's get back into our spaceship one more time and take some time to imagine. Where would you like to land? And which of your dogmas are you willing to challenge to reach your dream destination? Observe where and who you are. Imagine the future. Dare and touchdown. Ευχαριστώ πολύ.